Hi everyone. Today I want to make a quick video on Valera Energy. I made a video on this before. It's up about 20% since December, which is decent considering the market conditions and especially considering oil conditions. But essentially, it's had some sort of correction recently, and I really like this stock. Now, I'll explain why there's been a correction, but essentially this is probably one of the highest quality oil and gas companies, and they have really good management, but the valuation I think is really key here. And I just want to get into this video and explain my thoughts because I think that while oil and gas may not be the best industry, and I couldn't say I'm that bullish on it, I think that this is one of the oil and gas companies that even if you're not that bullish on the industry, you're not that bullish on oil, I feel like this is still a play that could be worth adding to your portfolio for the purpose of diversity in, certain scenarios where oil could spike or maybe a stagflation scenario. So if you look at this compared to XLE, like you can see XLE, very mediocre performance. It's paying a dividend, but compare that to something like Valera and you can see like it's the same industry but different operators, different management. So we're seeing much better performance from Valera and I expect that to continue. Now, if you look at this, the market cap, 628 when they published the report. The price is about 10% less than that. So you can subtract 10% from that, subtract 10% from this. If you're looking at like a rough estimate on enterprise value to free cash flow, you're looking at about 2 times, which is pretty decent, I would say. Like, there are risks with that, and if you expect the reserves to deplete, maybe that's not amazing, but I'm going to explain why I think it's going to be the opposite. But yeah, it's cheap in that metric. One thing to note, they're doing pretty good buybacks, which is always good. It's good for shareholders. They have a very high cash balance relative to their market cap, so if for whatever reason we see extremely low oil prices, of course, this company will take a massive haircut, but it's going to be one of those companies that survives, and not only do they survive, they're probably going to make really good transformative acquisitions that make them ultimately come back stronger. And I don't say that just out of nowhere as an arbitrary feeling. They did that before, and they have a track record for that. But if you look at them, like, they are doing amazing. They're reducing their operating expenses and increasing their production. Everything's really good with this company, and there isn't too much to really dive into on that front. Essentially, they're a large operator in Thailand, and why I bring this up is because this is very important, is normally you see reserves depleting as you're generating that that cash. And the main issue is like you're generating this cash, your reserves are depleting, like you're really doing nothing. You're not really generating anything. In the case of Valera with the unique geology in the Gulf of Thailand, I'm no expert, but what they've managed to do is print cash like no other while simultaneously increasing their reserves. Yes, increasing their reserves. That is something that's very interesting, very good, and they've done it. They expect to keep doing it. Now, you may be wondering, why are they in a recent correction? Why do I feel the need to make this video? This beautiful thing called Wasana. So they've been talking about a Wasana redevelopment for quite some time now. I thought this was a very beautiful and very bullish thing. The fact of the matter is they finally decided to do the redevelopment. And what the market does is say, I'm going to sell you off. Now, I have to ask, like, does that really make sense? And right now, the oil and gas industry is in a tricky situation. Commodity prices aren't that great. Companies are trying to get leaner. But with that being said, I don't think oil prices are sustainable at a too low level for that long. And some of you guys may disagree, and how we define low may be different, but they're doing this redevelopment. And this redevelopment, it's going to take 2 years before they're first seeing oil, but the payback period when they're seeing oil is a mere 1.5 years, which is not too bad, considering $60 Brent. Now, this isn't like, oh, we need $100 oil, we need $80 oil to be fine. Like right now, we're looking at $65 Brent. They only need $60 Brent. And they're looking at an 18-month payback with a 40% internal return rate. Higher oil prices, if for whatever reason you're bullish on oil, that would be even better. Now, you guys may think that this is not a good idea for whatever reason. I mean, the market certainly thinks that. I believe, when the oil prices are low, the market wants a more lean company. So to hear them making this large investment decision, which takes away from their cash balance, might make people feel uncomfortable. But they're planning to do this over 2 years, and it's very, very likely that they're actually going to completely make enough cash to cover that investment. So you're actually not going to see cash depletion until that time. And then by that time, you're looking at a beautiful output expansion. And you're seeing this field really go to work, huge lifespan. You're seeing the assets getting produced. I wish I could explain it better. I'm obviously not an expert, but essentially, to summarize this, if oil goes up, you're going to make a killing. If oil's flat, you're going to make a killing. If oil's down, you probably will lose the least. And if oil's down for a short period of time, you're probably actually going to come out much stronger through acquisitions and such. But is their idea for this reinvestment or redevelopment a bad idea? I don't think so. So I don't think the sell-off is warranted. And I think ultimately this is going to make them even stronger. So I think right now is a decent time to get in if you are looking for that oil exposure. And I already mentioned this, but the risk is very clear. Like if you see oil drop to $30 a barrel, I mean, this company is also going to have troubles. But compared to other ones, I do think this has really good upside potential without as much risk as the others. But yeah, that's all. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know.